Wheels are spinning. Things are happening. My dial-up connection is getting connected. Beep, boop, beep, boop. The fax machine is firing up. Oh, I think we got it. All right, I got my preview up. Instagram is firing up. Facebook is firing up. Yep, live on Instagram right now. Okay, I think we're live on all platforms, guys. Hey, everybody, I'm Nick Slavic. I am the host of Ask a Painter Live. I'm also the proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company. Ask a Painter Live is a weekly live show that's been airing weekly for almost 8 years now. It showcases the life of a master craftsperson, an entrepreneur, and we geek out in many things here. As you know, the molecular science of oil primer, but also spreadsheets. And we are going deep on automation, spreadsheets with two guys who do it better than anybody else today. So before we dive into that, and I introduce these two very interesting humans, I do have to mention the PCA, the Painting Contractors Association. We, all three of us, are huge fans. Obviously, if you've listened to anything that we do, we are huge fans of this organization. They aim to build better businesses, and you can build it with the human, you can build it with the people in the business, and you can build it with the business systems. And that's one thing we're going to key in today with that. There's a whole list of events. We have worked with the education fund, the money, the trust of the PCA to unlock a whole bunch of scholarships. These can include entry fees paid for events. It can include some travel stipends, some hotel stipends. It's an amazing thing. Tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars have been unlocked for and lobbied by the board of directors so that we can send people nearly free to events all over the country. So residential, commercial, women in paint, Spanish speakers, expo, all that stuff. There not only is a link to these scholarships in the show notes here, there is a link to all the events too. So you guys know the deal. It's going to be an amazing year. Our event year, our fall is going to get kicked off with the Spanish speakers, women in paint, commercial, and residential. And of course, residential, if you want to party with me on my farm, right outside this window outside here, we are having a party here for the residential forum on my beloved farm. So hope to see you guys there too. That'll be a lot of fun.
When is that?
October, I believe. So yeah.
Ooh, Oktoberfest. Nice.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. Leaves are changing. Deer are running around. My wildflowers will be turning. And we are going to have everybody here to share one of the most special places on earth together. So this is going to be awesome.
What's the closest airport?
MSP.
And how far away?
45 minutes.
Okay.
And by 45 minutes, 42 miles. We don't really have traffic here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. So this is not trying to get across Boston at 4:30 in the afternoon, you know? So
nice.
Okay, guys. Oh, here we are. Are ready to dig down and dirty. The guys from Boolean have promised some screen shares. We've been talking about this for weeks and months now, prepping for this sort of thing. We got some awesome stuff to show you. But first, we have to talk about the humans, Chris and Nathan. So, Chris, why don't you go first? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into Boolean after we do intros.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I always introduce with, I'm an engineer by education. I tried out the engineering world like a real job after college, hated it, lasted 6 months, and I quit and started a marketing company. Did that for 6 years. And then I had this really cool opportunity come up to be the marketing director for a fast growing painting company. And I was there from 2019 through 22. So I was there for 3 years. And in that time, we basically doubled the size of the business. And I got the chance to take all my marketing skills that I used on many different businesses and basically run like an in-house marketing agency at this company. Super, super fun, learned tons of stuff. And then about 2 years ago, had the opportunity to, through networking with a bunch of other painting companies, I started getting asked to help automate the other businesses and friends and people that I knew in the same way that I had done for this company I was working for. So, there's probably a 4-month transition to make sure I left everything in good shape when I departed. And then they actually were one of my first clients, contracted clients. And then, things have snowballed since then. And, what has it been now, Nathan, like a year ago around this time, Nathan reached out to me, and Nathan is a humble person, but he ran a $10 million painting company, still as a partner in that, but a silent partner now. And he was like, asked how things were going in my world and everything, and things were picking up. And so Nathan has been doing all of the sales. I feel like sales is like a kind of a bad word for some contractors, but Nathan has been doing like our discovery processes to figure out if we can help people and if it's a good fit. And in the last 7 or 8 months, Nathan's done like, I don't know, probably 30 or 40 painting, sat down with painting companies, looked under the hood. And so he's seen a lot of stuff. And we basically, our mission is to free you up to do what you love. And my theory is that painting owners, they love business and entrepreneurship, but generally there's some kids at home, maybe a spouse, some hobbies like fishing or hunting or other things that's why we're working, is so that we can spend time with those beautiful humans. So that's what we do at Boolean.
Yeah. So if I hear you right, what you're saying is all these people who are like trying to master the craft, start a business and raise a family, we don't have a bunch of free time laying around that we can just diddle with our business and stuff. Jeez, that's so weird.
Exactly.
Awesome. Nathan, how say you, my friend?
Yeah, I started painting in 2011. It was a summer job. I had a lot of fun that summer. I don't know how many budgets I beat, but that was my first summer painting. Got asked back to be a crew leader the next year in 2012. And then at the time, the guy who owned the business, he had put himself through college and seminary, and he was going to sell the business. And so I bought in. There was actually 6 owners at one point, which I don't recommend that. But that's what we had. And one of them was a former regional vice president at one of the big college pro painting franchises. Yep. And so he downloaded systems in our brain and processes, and I was just a sponge and said, yes, sir, whatever you say, I'll do. Didn't know a thing about painting businesses or how to be an entrepreneur or whatever, but was willing to learn. And so I ran that painting business from 2013, came in as an owner. When we started, we were about $500,000 as summer painting business. And then, this year we're shooting for about 10 million. And a third of it is residential repaint, a third of it is GC work, and a third of it is concrete floor coatings, one-day garage floors. And now we're getting into some industrial type stuff and water treatment plants and all that stuff. So, man, it's been a decade, that's for sure.
And then a decade, and not a lot of time to do what you guys have accomplished. That's a lot packed in there.
Yes. Yeah. We went for it hard. It's kind of my personality of like, let's go for it. Let's get the team and let's move and let's do the thing. And we made a lot of mistakes along the way, but we did some good things, and we had some impact along the way on some people's lives. And about 6 months, a year ago, I was just at a place of like, we had a great, phenomenal team in place. My partner was running the business. I had moved down to Kansas City. My wife got a job offer down here, and I won't get into that, but it was like, yeah, this team is doing it. They're crushing it. What's next for me? Like, I got to figure something out. And I knew Chris from conferences and things like that. And we had nerded out about spreadsheets and softwares and technology a couple times. And so, he was one of the first people that I called and said, what do you got going on? You need anybody? And he said, sure. So, and that was, came on board. 6 months ago. And I've got to, 30 or 40 painting companies. And I get to like sit down with them and like go through the details of their business. When a lead comes in the door, how does it come in? What are the channels? What are the sources? What are the spreadsheets? What are the tools you put them in? And then we just like work through that thing all the way so that I can really understand how their business works and if we can help them or not. So that's
love that. And if you guys wouldn't mind, I have 2 quick tactical questions, one for each of you. Chris, if you, with all the people watching and all the people that will watch, growing a painting company from the marketing standpoint in-house, very quickly, very big in a short amount of time, is there one takeaway, one thing that you know as a marketing professional that we can do now to grow our companies, make sure our leads are full, that you learned from your time being a professional marketer for a paint business?
Ooh, yeah. I would say everyone always asks me what the hardest thing is, and I would say we were trying to be in 5 different markets. So like when I started, we were only in 2, and we added 3 more markets. And I will tell you that what worked in one rarely worked in the other 4.
Oh, when you say
And that,
market, you're talking locations or types of
yeah,
painting
like
services?
geographic, like
Oh,
metro
yeah.
areas, like literally like Portland and then Boise and, Salt Lake, totally different.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah, completely different approaches. That was that was just a really hard thing. I would say, however, despite that, our reporting and our analytics and stuff is what allowed us to, I mean, we could see like our cost per lead by source, by location, by project type. We could look at close rates for different estimators with different lead sources. That was like Nathan saying back when we met at the first time we chatted. I think it was either one of us was behind the other one, and we had Google Sheets open, and we were like, pulling in some of the latest nerdy numbers, and we're like, "Whoa, what are you doing there? That's pretty cool." And then the other person pulled out their Google Sheet, and we started, comparing our sheets together. Just like it's the way all great conversations start,
Of
over a
course.
Google Sheet. So, anyways, that I would say from a marketing standpoint, like knowing your numbers was huge. But the other thing that was like absolutely game changer was reviews. And that's so easy. Everybody can get more reviews. Like
Yep.
you got to have, when I started at Webfoot, they had 67 Google reviews after 15 years in business. And when I left 3 years later, we had over 800, and now they have over 1,000. So it's
Oh my
like that is an absolute game. Like all your marketing is 10x in your ROI when you can actually back it up with social proof.
Well, the most interesting thing is, and again, if somebody does know the secret Google algorithm, I think it would be obvious to know that or know who they are. But since nobody really knows what it is, I feel like everybody does agree, though, that a steady drip of 5-star reviews is one of the best things you could do for your business ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Nathan, growing
Yeah.
a monster business. We're not talking about the 1% of the industry. We're talking about the 1/10 or 1/100th of 1%, the top size business in our entire industry. Biggest lesson learned, something you do differently. Give us an insight. There's not many people like that, like you, we can talk to for this.
I think the most important thing which was my biggest, like the reason for success, and also like some of my biggest failures came because of like finding the right people to hitch my wagon to, and finding a good mentor, and being willing to listen and learn versus like thinking I can just figure it out on myself. Like look, I've gotten it to 5 million. Like I got it from here. Like that was, yeah, that was a mistake. That's a mistake that I made, thinking that I could do it myself for a while. And there was some hard lessons learned because of that. Some pride along the way, but I would say that.
Oh, no,
And then
pride is not involved in anything we do, especially entrepreneurship. Of course not.
yeah, I was in my 20s, just rocking and rolling, thinking life is peachy and easy, and
Nobody's ever been there before. Yeah.
find a coach, find a mentor, like keep learning is a big one. And then a couple other, I think the thing that led to our growth and success, I think there's multiple ways to do it, but was like having a mission as a company. Like, what do you stand for? How are you changing the world? How are you changing people's lives? Like, how can you have a rallying cry for your team that gets people going on a level that's deeper than, we're painting houses and making money, which is great. Which is super important. That all that needs to happen. But like, what's the purpose for what you're doing? And does your team know that? And we championed that, man. And I think it was a big reason why we were able to build the team that we were able to.
Well, it's really interesting. The more intentionality you put behind something, typically the better it is. And on almost, I mean, it is a stereotype, but every business book, every business system, every life coach, every business coach will always take you past something very tactical now, reach out way into the future, and even past 10, 20, 30-year goals. And eventually they're going to want you to figure out your purpose and then back everything up from there and do that. And so when you have that North Star and you can wayfind, everything else falls in line better instead of just dropping pins all over the map. So that is an absolute through line, and simple to say those words, but very hard to actually do. And you guys having experience in businesses in that upper echelon is that there's not many people there because it's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah. You've got to have something pulling you forward, pulling you through the hard stuff into the future. That's like worth it. This is hard. This is difficult. This is painful. Is it worth it? And if you've got to create that, like you've got to make that thing, you have to find it, you know?
Oh, I love it, man. All right, Boolean. We have been talking now for 15, 17 minutes. It's time to talk about Boolean. Who wants to take it?
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So I would say I always like to start with how everybody has been in the place. I'm a nerd and I love technology, but technology is very overwhelming, right? And it seems like social media, everything. It's like I don't know if you've ever done like the 30-day challenge of just deleting all the like social apps and email off your phone, and you feel like an addict that's just like fidgeting to try and like check something or get a ping or whatever, you know? So I will say that from we've all that feeling of just like, gosh, there's so much technology. There's all this stuff that I know I should be using or utilizing better than I am. And then you have AI come on the scene, right? And I looked up a statistic a couple months ago, and in 2022, Apple had said that every day, you can guess, Nick, how many apps do you think on the Apple App Store are like published every single day on Apple's App Store?
Oh my God. I feel like it'd be 50,000, 25,000, something like that.
So it's 1,000 every day. No, it's 50,000 a day. That would
every day.
Yeah, new apps 1,000 every single day. And then that was in 2022 that they said this. Now AI comes out and people are able to make apps faster, cheaper. There's all these niche apps that are popping on the scene. And my belief, and I heard Peter Diamandis, he's a venture capital inventor, said this, and I completely agree, that by the end of the decade, there's going to be two types of businesses: the ones that have fully adopted AI and the ones that are going out of business. And those are like, that might sound like a scary, like, oh, you're just a doomsdayer. I think of it as like this fantastic opportunity to leverage technology in a like more positive, holistic way to scale your company with less friction. And for that, back to like our purpose, free people in your business up to do what they actually love to do. And one of my favorite sayings, I don't know if you knew this, Nick, but every employee that you hire actually comes with a free brain. They have a brain that you can use if you free that brain up from the mundane, repetitive, boring, mind-numbing tasks of copying and pasting data or generating reports. And they actually can solve problems for you. And my experience is that people love solving problems more than they like doing the same thing 15 times a day, every single day, over and over and over for all infinity, you know? And so that's like, to me, like, I honestly, the mission of Boolean is coming from this place of like, I genuinely feel like it's inhumane to employ people to have them do things that computers could do for us. And I think that we need to free those people up to, yes, spend time with their families and that stuff. But when they're at work, free them up to do what they love doing at work. And if you ask them, it's probably, you know, yes, it's hard, but that's what gives us the fulfillment in life, is solving hard, interesting problems.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk services. Let's talk value prop. Why would somebody call you guys?
Well, 80% of the stuff, the data entry in your business, the back office stuff that painters do, 80% is not needed. You don't need it. And you are paying people to do things that they don't need to do. And for a couple of reasons. One, because people are actually rather expensive and they're not very reliable in comparison to computers, even the best people, because they have emotions, they get sick, whatever. Computers can pull the same report that you had someone pulling once a month. They can pull it 15 times a minute if you wanted them to. And you could look at real-time dashboards and have all this stuff so that you can put the people into it's like right now, and Nathan can attest to this, I feel like painting companies that are larger, especially when you get bigger than 2 million, this is where it starts. People are like, they start perking up. If you're under 2 million, there's definitely some efficiencies to gain. And we'll talk about some of that later. But for companies that get larger than 2, especially once you pass the $4 million mark, the inefficiency is so real that this is a common occurrence in a weekly management or monthly management meeting, that you're talking about someone who you have on your staff whose job is basically data management. Yeah. So I'm not trying to fire, the one client that we didn't end up working with, well, there's a lot that we decide mutually to not work with, but this one guy, he wanted to work with us and we turned him down and said, he asked me, when we hire you, who do you think I'll be able to fire in my business?
Oh,
and I was like, oh, this is so many red flags going off in my head. This is not why we do what we do. We're not trying to reduce overhead by elimination, but it's as you double and triple your size of company, you shouldn't need to double and triple your overhead staff. And so why should someone pay attention to technology and implement this in their business? It's because you're going to be able to scale a business with much less pain and a lot less friction by using technology that's all integrated and talking to each other.
Very nice. And surveying all your clients, what is their most pressing need?
What would you say, Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing in that $2 to $4 million range is they've made it past the 1 to 2, where it's you got to get people and you got to get processes. You got to know the basics. You don't need fancy software. You don't need a lot of automation. You just have
It's a good test of the business owner. Can you just accomplish a certain amount of basic business things to get you over that main hurdle of just having people, right?
Yes. Yeah. You got to hire the right people, train them, retain them, have some good solid processes. And you might need a few basic softwares. You don't really need to integrate them. You could probably get to 2 million without much issue, honestly. It's when painting businesses get to that 2 to 4 range, and you do start to need software. You start to need some better tools to run your business. You start to need some spreadsheets, track reports, and things like this. And I meet with painting companies over and over and over again, and it's all pretty much the same story. They have probably 10 different applications that they use, from a CRM to estimating to time tracking to internal communication to payroll software to literally 10 is not an exaggeration. There's some that have well beyond 10, along with 10 spreadsheets that they run reports on, because the software that they have doesn't give them the report that they want. So they copy and paste the data, and they have 5 to 10 spreadsheets that also don't talk to each other, that are giving them the reports that they need to run their business, right? Because that's what they need at the end of the day. Is these reports and data are the feedback on, is it working? Do you have the right people and do you have the right processes? And the only completely objective voice in all of that to answer that question is your data. That's the only way you're going to get objective feedback. So you have to have it. But when you have 10 fragmented softwares and 5 to 10 spreadsheets that are also fragmented and not talking to each other, that's when you get people wasting months of the year literally copy pasting data. And it just doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way.
And so we all get a lot of look into companies, and there's ways that us entrepreneurs can delude ourselves into thinking hey, everything's going great. I don't need that. But what you find when you peel back the curtain is you may employ one outlier human who just automatically does a bunch of stuff consistently all the time without any management. And that is fine. We're all looking for those people. But typically you don't scale a $4 or $5, $10 million business with a whole team of outliers who just randomly do stuff at automatic time. So you need to build a business that's scalable, replicable, that has safeguards in it, low management, high replicability, and you have to sort of like create a system that just a normal human being with a good coach can operate at a very high level. And then hopefully you find some outliers in it. But I know we've seen that before too. Well, hey, Jim is my office manager. He does everything. He sends all my estimates. He manages all my projects. He's job costing. He's invoicing. He sweeps the shop. He paints cabinets on the weekends. Like, this is great. I'm like,
yeah.
$50,000 if you find another Jim. I dare you. You'll never find another Jim. It's just not going to happen. And that's not a skill. And the worst part is we've seen this too. The heartbreaks of these things. When Jim leaves, you're left with a crushing zero. You are left with a sucking sound of the universe imploding on itself. And that is tough.
That sounds like a voice of experience, potentially, Nick. Like that sucking sound of the universe is, there's few of us who have experienced that. And I can tell you've been there.
Yeah, you're reliant on humans versus systems. And it doesn't mean you don't have faith in humans. It just means that you have good systems so that you don't burn your people out. So you can actually, like you guys say, like let their brains freewheel a little bit instead of just copy paste all the time. And that's not the best and highest use of humans.
Right. It's hard enough to find really great people and implement really great processes in your business. Yeah. But even with that, when you're in the $2 to $4 million range, it is like, it's even for good people with good processes, it's chaotic and there's a ton going on and there's workarounds that only Sally knows how to do this thing. Right. And it's like, if you have great people and you have great processes, to me, it's the technology is what unlocks that. Like it'd be like if you're roofing houses and you have an amazing team, you're the best roofer in town, you're hammer nails, and it's like the nail gun comes out and you're like, no, my team is a hammer and nail team. That's how we roof houses. We're the best. And it's like you were the best, but the nail gun is here and it's 5 to 10 times faster. And if you don't invest in the nail gun, like your margins are going down and you're going to get undercut and you're going to have a problem. Right.
And your people are going to be looking over at that other crew saying, wow, that looks a lot more fun over there. I'm going to go try that nail gun out, you know?
Yeah. Less workers' comp claims.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we are going to do a screen share. You guys have some awesome stuff to show. One thing that I want to talk about, listen, I'll sit here all night and do this, but we all have families and this other stuff. So I want to respect your guys' time, but I was introduced to a concept called single source of truth. Probably 2 or 3 years ago. And again, when you want to talk about purpose, North Star in some way to guide you, when you're introduced to an overarching concept, sometimes they're so self-evident and so obvious, everything snaps into focus and you're like, yes, that's always what works better. There's areas of my business, when you think about single source of truth, that they're all over the place. You're 10 spreadsheets, not connected, not talking to another. And you realize that magically all the friction points and the things that people don't like about working in your business are when there's multiple sources of truth and things like that. So you guys live in this world of single source of truth. What is it? How do we use it? How does it apply to a painting business? Your thoughts?
Yeah. So I would say I'm going to tie in the source of truth to just like this concept of apps and spreadsheets and things like that. So I think it's important to understand that like we have all been like since the beginning of humans trying to do more with less, right? We want to plow more fields with less effort. We want to build more houses with less effort build roads with less people and like all these machines and everything. We're just like motivated towards how do we be more efficient and exert less energy to get the same outcome or even a better outcome. And so software comes on the scene, 30, 40 years ago, the early stages of it. And this like software has been automating processes since computers came out. That was the whole goal, is like, the original, like with punch cards and stuff that I'm not even old enough to remember, but I've heard stories, uh, that you was literally like, we're trying to get the computer to do math for us, right? And then it's doing more complex math, and then it's like this stuff keeps evolving. And the same thing that happened when computers came out is happening today with automating processes. But what's really like in the recent, let's say the last 10 years, been this advent of no code tools, which are basically, and actually you could say that Google Sheets or Excel is a no code database tool.
Mm-hmm.
When it came out, what year did spreadsheets come out, Nathan? I thought you looked that up
I
recently.
think it was the early '90s when Office was Bill Gates and
So like of Google Sheets, which was modeled after Excel, came out in mid 90s, right? So we're talking 30-year-old technology, but this was like one of the first no code, meaning that I could basically mimic or get the same results that a database of information could give me or run calculations, and I didn't have to code anything. It was a visual interface. I could, lay out some formulas and then drag it down for 1,000 rows and it does all the addition for me, or whatever the thing was. That is 30-year-old technology. And then there's been these other no code apps that have continued to come out. And a lot of, like, I would say 10 years ago, I think everybody that we talk to is like seeking the one software that's going to like automate everything. Like, I just need the app that's going to like run my painting business for me. And I would say there are the apps that are needed to run your business exist, but now you need to get them either integrated together or build like a custom solution. And if you were going to build a custom software, say 10 years ago, that would have cost you upwards of $500,000 and probably 3 years of work with developers. And then you have the headache of maintaining it. Nowadays, with no code tools, you can make apps in months at a fraction of the cost. And that's what I get super excited about with tools like Airtable, Monday, Bubble. There's all these low code or no code apps that are just Zapier, Make. There's these automation tools that you can now automate stuff that you would have had to hire a team of developers that understood JavaScript to do it. And you can now teach an office manager to, automate the scheduling of an estimate process or whatever. So, I can't even remember what your question was. I just know that source of truth.
Yeah, single source of truth. And one thing that I love is taking concepts and simplifying or even oversimplifying. So you can, like, as visionaries and business owners, we kind of like to just take the whole lay of the land and kind of simplify it and manipulate it to our will. And one thing I heard both you guys talk about in the last year has been like, and I'll mess this up, but guide me, which is there is pure hardcore coding. You get on one of those black screens, you type in stuff that we don't understand, and you make computers do stuff. We're not going to do that, right? And then there's low code or no code. So now we're talking the Zapiers, the Mondays, the Airtables, the things where you don't code, but you can do some things and kind of manipulate it. And then there's just the full-on automated graphic user interface software and stuff. Like, do those three concepts sort of encompass basically our options for solutions?
Yes. And I would say that, keep in mind, because I used to have a bad understanding of tech and software. All software is an interface that a person interacts with and a bunch of data tables. That's it. That's literally what software is. Like, if you've ever tried to like export your data from Facebook or anything, you can request it. You can go and say, hey, give me all the data you have on me. It's pretty scary, but you can do that and they'll send you a CSV file, just a gigantic thing of like, it doesn't even make sense to us. It's just a bunch of tracking codes and URLs and other things that you watched and whatever. But like, that's all that software is just, you can kind of think of it as like, it's basically a bunch of spreadsheets that all talk to each other, that you're then limiting control and making it prettier and having these slick interfaces and mobile apps and stuff. But that's what software is. So the rudimentary level would be like, the rudimentary no code level would be like a Google Sheet. So if you use Google Sheets in your business, the great news is what I'm about to show you is just like an iteration on that same concept. We're still like, I love talking to people that are Google Sheet oriented because they understand the idea of organizing data and then trying to build reports off of that and how you can write, lookups and things like that. And that's all the same type of stuff that happens in softwares. You just like a tool like Airtable, which is one of my favorites. It allows you to have the databases, so all the spreadsheets, but then you can layer in interfaces on top of that. So I would say one of the biggest problems that everyone that I talk to that uses Google Sheets, they have multiple sheets, usually because they're worried about someone getting in and messing up the formula. So they like have to copy and paste the output of the formulas to something that is like dummy proof. Or the other big reason is I have to copy and paste to another sheet because I don't want so-and-so to see all the details. I just need them to see the outcome or the GP or how many hours they have. So I'm wasting all this energy trying to segment and permission like who can see what. And with a tool like Airtable, you have your single source of truth. Every single data point about your project and all of your projects is in one place. But then I can have my crew leader see 5 bits of information. I can have my office manager see 50. I could have my sales rep see 20. And I can pick and choose what they get to see, what they get to edit, what they get to add to. It's like, it literally is like all the best stuff about Google Sheets. Plus you get to choose what they can't edit. You get to choose what they can and can't see. And you get to choose what they can add or delete. It's like, that when I found out about Airtable, the first time I saw it, I literally was like, that's stupid. It's like a paid version of Google Sheets. And I completely missed that there was this whole interface piece that takes your apps to the next level.
Okay. So when, so somebody would call you guys, Boolean, for help with this high level automation, and you guys are proponents of Airtable because it's sort of taking it from, you're not building a custom piece of software, you're not teaching somebody how to code, and you're not even doing the low code or no code. It's sort of like that plus another layer of interface to make it easy for all the people using it. Do I understand that correctly?
100%. Yep.
Oh, good. Good. That's awesome. I know we want to do a screen share here. I had a question pop up and it just blew my mind here. That is not like me, but I think we are ready to screen share. I'll get prompted again and I will ask it. But I see you guys are ready to screen share. Should we do this, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And feel free to ask lots of questions, or if there's anyone watching that wants to ask questions, feel free to as well.
I tell you what, I'm going to have to resituate our screens here to make sure we get the screen share on top. There was one question that came in here, Jordan Huff from Facebook, recommendations on how to get Google reviews above and beyond just the typical do good work and asking at the end of the job. What suggestions, since Google reviews are so important for our businesses?
Quick answer, Jordan, send Nathan an email. We will hook you up, give you 6 months of a trial, assuming that you have good systems. If you don't have software, I take back my offer. If you do have a CRM or project management of some sort, we'll hook you up with an awesome, like an automated software that we built for reviews. But that would be my top recommendation. I can't give free software to everyone, but Jordan, because you're here and you showed up, there's a reward for you if you're still listening.
Do have a script of like our recommended way. We have a script of our recommended way to ask for a Google review, of like personalizing it and certain things to put in there. And Chris he mastered the art of converting a customer into a Google review, and through automation and the right copy and the right cadence. And that's how he brought the company he used to work for from 75 reviews in 15 years of business. And now they're over 1,100, like 5 years later. And then he took all that knowledge, which we'll give you like some of the scripting and all that stuff. Just send us your email address. We'll give you that for free. Otherwise, we have a software that does it too. which you can go.
All right, I'll let you guys get set up there. I saw one of my favorite humans on earth, Wendy Anderson. She's an amazing human, an amazing client of mine. She had a super nerdy question, which I assume you will know what to do with. Is it like Advanced Access Database? And I think back from my college days, Access is a Microsoft product, a database product,
Yep.
correct?
Yes. And I would say, Wendy, the fact that you know what Access databases are means that you better buckle up because you're about to love what I'm about to show you.
You will love it.
Yes, it's exactly like that. It's just like the non-90s version of it, like the 2020 version of that with all the improvements that you would expect. Okay, so I'm looking at my phone to see what this live is like on for people on Instagram. I think I need to squish my screen in a little bit so you can see.
I love you tech guys. You know what to do.
Hopefully it's more legible. If you're on a desktop, I think it's more viewable. But anyways, the what I'm trying to show here is that there is a sidebar here. Might not be able to see everything, and you guys tell me if this is good or not. So I'm going to show the back end first. This is a company. I got permission from their owner. This is a client of ours, ACP Painting out in Arizona. They are absolutely crushing it. And this is a database that we made for them. And the reason I wanted to show theirs is because they have some of the most advanced stuff that we've done recently. But I want to talk about the structure of the data in the back end first. So when we talk about a single source of truth, there's a table of all the projects. And then there's events, which is what actually gets scheduled on the calendar. And you could have one event that's like a power washing event. And then you could have an exterior painting event, and the power wash could last eight hours, and the pressure or the painting could last 5 days or whatever. Or you could have a warranty or a touch-up event, but it's all rolled up to that project. Then you have all the people in your company. The people in your company, they've got, their wages, their burden, their, if you do adjusted hours, that's in here. All of the time entries that they submit gets pulled into here. We've got all of our customers, our companies that we're working with, the job sites, AWOs. So if you sell a job and then there's additional work that's sold, I'll show you how that works in just a second. But literally, there is nothing, every customer transaction, so every payment that comes in, all the time tracking data from they use QuickBooks Time, but every day at 4 a.m., we pull in all the time tracking logs from the last 4 hours or from the last 24 hours. And then it automatically associates each time to the job that it was worked on. So you can get, because we have the time, a different table has the wage of that person who did that time plus the burden. You literally can output this, 3.18 hours of time for this individual, like David Bernstein. This was a project. So the adjusted or the total hours here was 4.15 hours. And if you go over here, you can see the wage was 18. The burden on top of that wage is 360. So the total amount of money that was paid for that portion of time is $74.70. And then you can pull that up into your job costing. And, again, think this is one time entry over for 3 hours in one day. But like all of this data, because it's here, you can then pull it into all the other reports. We got they have subcontractors that they work with. So we keep track of payments in there. They have this really interesting, not like it's a pretty common thing, but hold harmless. So I'll show you how this works too. But there's literally a database of the forms that they send to customers. When the customer says, "Hey, can you move my fridge?" The courier goes, "Yeah, sure. Can I just get you to sign a form really quick?" They push a button. The customer gets an e-signature that says, "I agree, I'm not holding this company liable to move the fridge." And then it immediately is approved. And I've got a record of their signature saying they understand that we're not a moving company, we're a painting company. Transactions from QuickBooks, another absolute game changer. This is all grouped by project. So their bookkeeper uses a tool called HubDoc, and they log all the Sherwin-Williams invoices that they get. And then they tag it with the job number, which they have to do anyways in QuickBooks. And then we just tap into QuickBooks API, suck all that transaction data out, pull it into our single source of truth. And now not only do we have the time cost, but we have material costs. We can get equipment costs. Literally, like, there is no piece of data about this painting project that is not in this database. So now going to, well, I guess I'll pause, make sure if there's, I know I'm just like spitting out a ton of things super fast. Is there any other questions on what I said so far?
Well, so I think in taking 3 steps back from this, it sounds like what I haven't seen you do is click through a bunch of windows and go through screens and different apps. So what I'm seeing is we're living out the single source of truth, which is I'm hearing you tick off things that are very important to painting companies, which is here's the estimates, here's the forms, here's the invoices, here's the invoices for clients, paint invoices, time punches. These are all the building block foundational data of a company. Like, if you mess up by a few percentage point on these, you can really affect your bottom line. And now in most companies, and even in mine, these are not all in the same places. So what I'm saying now is you have found a way to funnel all that stuff into one place, if that's what I'm seeing correctly.
Yes. And so now keep in mind, everything I just showed you on the back end is all behind the scenes. It is, nobody sees what I just showed you other than maybe like our team and like even the owner. Like, you're allowed to look at it, but nobody does their job in the database. The jobs are all performed and the data is managed in the interfaces. And that's what I'm going to show you right here. And this is the part that I like showing the data first, because it gives you the idea of like, just keep in mind, everything about the project is in here. But now I can show you these little things are called interfaces. So I'm an admin, so I can see the production interface, the subcontractor interface, the ACP job leader interface. But if you are a subcontractor, you're only going to see your projects that are relevant to you and the things I decide to show you. So I actually pulled up on my phone here. You can see this now. This is a screenshot or like a screen share of my phone. Is this coming through?
Yep.
So this would be like I put myself in as an employee. So when I open up Airtable, which again is just, so I'll log out of here. It's just a little app on my phone. So I open up Airtable and then I have one thing to click on. So I go into the production interface. I can go to events. These are the 2 events that I am assigned to as Chris Kiefer, the crew leader in this company. So I can now click on that job, and I've got, right now, there's no actual hours logged on this particular project yet because it's coming up. There's 66 hours of total with estimated plus AWO plus pushback. The status of it, I can go in and see the directions. So I can tap get directions. It pulls up Google Maps, gets me directions to this particular job. I can open up Company Cam, boom, straight to the Company Cam project. Literally every single thing about this project, we link into Airtable. So like this company communicates via Slack. So not only does it open up Slack, but it opens up the Slack channel for this project in the Slack app on their phone. So if there's access things like where do we park? What's the code to the gate? Will the pets be secured? Where can I go to the bathroom? All that information was provided by the customer and is in here. And then I can choose, because I'm in the production interface, I'm going to show the crews this information. But you'll notice I'm not showing them the total dollar amount. I do have the work order in here too. This company uses Paint Scout. So I can click the Paint Scout work order link. It opens up the work order so they can see, you know, how many hours they have, the different areas, what needs to be done there. But anyway, so yeah, this is what the crew sees. But then I'm going to go back to now, pretend I'm the scheduler. Now the scheduler is in, let's go to the operations manager. That's who schedules their jobs. I can go to the calendar view and I can see all the projects, and I'm going to not mess with their actual projects. So I'm going to put in just this test one. So we have a Chris Kiefer floor project right here. I don't have it scheduled for anyone, so I'm going to assign it to Chris Kiefer, which is my user that I just showed you on the phone. And now I can drag this to have it start on July 24th. And it knows, because of the number of hours, that this is going to be a 6-day project. So it starts on the 24th and goes to the 31st. Now, if I go back to Chris Kiefer's phone, which is right here, I can go down and see that now Chris Kiefer has just been given access to this project because it just got assigned to him. And so again, he can see the information that the person in the office just assigned.
So
and then
real quick, like in most painting companies, to do what you just did is a series of about 11 to 14 tasks of this has become a PDF. Then you upload it to Slack. You create a Slack channel. You have to add people to the Slack channel. And then that's not quite clear. Then you got to go to your schedule spreadsheet and then put that on there. And then everything has to, you got to block out the right amount of days, go back to the estimate, look at the amount of hours. Like that's what you just did. It feels like, oh my God, this is happening. But that's about 13 different little touches that just happened right there.
Yes, congratulate, thank you for seeing and knowing that, because you're 100% right. And this is the tip of the iceberg. Like now let's go to the AWO, or the generate hold harmless thing.
Well,
so
yeah,
like
and
as a
while
crew
you're
leader,
pulling that up, like I also went through a list of places with a normal painting business. How many times would you have to put in just the customer name? I have a list of 17 different spreadsheets and apps. Literally, this is a company that I talked to. 17 different spreadsheets and apps. And that is just the places they have to enter the name of the customer. Not only creating the project and the address and filling in all the data and checking this and checking that and having all the tabs. Like, no, with an integrated system, a customer puts their name in a Facebook form, and now it's everywhere that it needs to be. Yeah. So when you have an integrated system, not only do you not have to do it 17 times, you have to do it 0 times because the customer filled out a form on your website.
And perhaps one quick question too from awesome super fan Lauren and a friend of mine. Are employees clocking hours also included on this interface?
Yeah. So my favorite thing to do is connect. There's 2 answers to that. Anything that you want you could build an Airtable. Time tracking, we actually did build an Airtable, but there's a trade-off of like, at what point does it make sense to have time tracking just get use a time tracking app that costs $8 a month per user. And for example, like GPS tracking and manager approvals and integration with payroll softwares and things like that, I recommend getting a really good time tracking software, and then we integrate that time tracking software with the app. But yes, you can make it very easy so that it's easy to clock in and out of, and everything's centralized for sure.
And now the number one question is, then does it feed all the way through to job costing then? So we don't have to go track down employee hours. Can you make it feed all the way through to job costing?
Yes. So I'm going to show this one. This is a quick, literally like a hold harmless process. I'll come right back to job costing.
Yeah, you bet.
Because this is true for AWOs, hold harmless, whatever. I can go in here. I'll do the AWO form. So customer says, hey, I actually want that other door.
Oh no. Did we just lose Chris? Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, Chris's dog or kid unplugged the computer. Dang. All right, hold tight, everybody. Chris is coming back. The wonders of technology. So
that's right. Can't live with it. Can't live without it.
Now it's just Big Nathan on the screen and Little Nick for a little bit.
Huge Nathan. What is? Yeah, I gotta back up a little bit. I got a big nose the way it is. That's too close to the camera.
I think we got him back. Chris, you weren't taken hostage.
I just leave for some added dramatic suspense. So, can you guys hear me?
You literally okay. So give me a second. Let me put in our screens again to get the big. Just a second. I got to order them all. I don't have an Airtable for this. This doesn't automatically happen. I have to manually do it. All right. I think we got it, guys.
So with the AWO, so I click the AWO form, and let's try. So I'm going to do the hold harmless one will be slightly faster. So I can come in here and say, what am I doing for this person? And I say, moving fridge.
You're gonna slide over your phone screen.
Is it blocked?
It's just not on the streaming view.
Which way? Over here? Still nothing?
I'm seeing the form up top.
Oh, so you do see the form. Is Nathan's
Yep, the form
view
is
off?
form is front and center here.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. I just see the calendar view of their table, but maybe my. Sorry.
Okay,
Go
cool.
ahead.
So if I click you guys can see this, right? The hold harmless thing pops up.
I think your screen froze. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pop the screens off again and bring them back up. Hold tight. Yeah, I'm seeing almost like a screen in transition on the screen share.
Interesting. I think that the QuickTime app that I'm using is like blocking the website that I'm on for some reason. So it's just showing a black, but I can see it on my phone. I just see a black screen on here. So we're going to skip that and go to your job costing question.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, when you have time, all that type of stuff. I don't know if benchmarking is a standard industry term, but I'll show you the back end view of this data. But in the project section here, we made a view of all their data that's called job costing or benchmarking. And so it pulls in the total job expense, any additional work that was there, the adjusted hours, the adjusted efficiency, the crew leader, what is this revenue that was brought in? And then you ultimately end up with the gross profit per job. And so literally the idea of job costing is gone because it's more like job viewing. You're just like, did we make money? We didn't. Why didn't we? Let's dive in. And then you have all those snapshots to go deeper into interesting. So that's only 54%, or this was 77%, whatever it was. So now I can go look again, because that's just the data in the background. But as the sales manager here, we have this production dashboard, and there's a couple things here that I think are really cool. Make sure, can you guys see the entire, is my screen, is anything cut off?
I'm seeing the project tabs with a bunch of projects.
And you should see the sales manager production dashboard. You're not?
I don't think so.
I'm going to stop and reshare again. Let's try this.
Who is Big Nate again? Big Nate's back.
Big Nate's back. Here we go. Okay, let me try. You can try your screen share and we'll.
Now? There's the sales dashboard. Production.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is super, super cool.
Oh.
This is another thing that you have the total backlog of work. You could even sort by, okay, I just want to know how much interior we have. Boom, 27,237 of interior work. I want to see the floors that we have. So immediately it just filters everything based on whatever your choice is. But if I'm looking at total backlog, I can then look, how much revenue do we have in the next 30 to 60 or 30 days versus 30 to 60 versus 60 to 90? How many hours do I have? What was our total revenue produced for the year? I can see gross profit by month, so our average GP by month. And then I can even see gross profit based on job leader. So you can see that each job leader, and if I go click on this, like Michelle has, if I click here, I see the gross profit on every project. If something looks off, I can go dive in and look at that. Then you can do really interesting things like they only have one sales rep, their owner, who sells. But imagine if you had 3 estimators, you could then do what's our GP by estimator by project type. So you could do like a pivot table of the comparison of those two, or you could look at, how did our job leaders do by month, compared to one another? What was the total revenue, or what was their gross profit, or whatever? So literally, like all of those types of questions that you naturally kind of lean towards like inquiring about, it's all possible to pull like reports on because all the data is in this one place.
Well, and you guys know that you took a look inside my business too, and it takes an enormous amount of time to gather all this data, put it in a place or multiple places, and then trust it, and then have it usable, and then gate it off. And I'm seeing in my own company, there's probably between 8 and 14 spreadsheets that encompass exactly what you guys have right there.
Yeah. And then the ability to say who in the business would benefit from seeing this.
Yeah.
One of the things we're in the process of building this out right now. It's not even viewable to their people yet. But in the background here, we're working on a new dashboard for the crew leader or for each individual person. So they could see like a snapshot of their productivity. This is, like I said, this isn't live yet. There's still some shushing of the data that has to happen.
Yep.
But anyways, you could literally have every person in the company get a snapshot of how they did on their projects. Or if you wanted to, you could show them how they did in comparison to everybody else, only in terms of like efficiency. Like, did you hit your hours, or how much revenue did you produce for us, or whatever it is. You can just like start cutting up the data in all these really interesting ways. And then decide, again, we can show card view, we can show a calendar view, we can do whatever we want. For paying bills or invoicing, this is the last thing I'll show. When they have to invoice clients, there's a view that we made here. And just like the act of invoicing, again, as you probably know, takes a long time. Let me go back to the front end view. So right now, I should ask Russ, if you're watching, Russ, do you want me to pay this or send this invoice for you? Because I could. You literally press this button. It's for $697. I press this button. It generates it in QuickBooks and sends it to the customer. And I'm done. It puts the correct class code in, your project type, all the accounts, everything is mapped. So literally the act of invoicing someone is click, and then it disappears off their view. And they go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one.
And the view is set up based on jobs that are done but have not been invoiced. So if when you go to invoicing, you have 10 jobs in a list, and you open it up, double check it for 10 seconds, click. Next one, click. Next one, click. And you just invoice 10 jobs in 3 minutes. And you know you're done.
Awesome.
You don't have to search around and figure out if you're done or not.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it.
And I think the other thing I want to just like 10 years ago to build something like this is it's a custom software. So it's $500,000 to $1 million, and it's 3 to 5 years of coding on JavaScript or Python or whatever it may be. And because of the technology today, it's 1/10 of the cost, and it takes 1/10 of the time to get this done. So it's like there's just better tools for software developers, right?
All right, buckle up, nerds. I got a question. I hope you guys know. I don't know what this means. My buddy John Pritt, one of the coolest guys ever. Does this work with AIA construction billing?
Yeah. So this AIA is like the industry standard for commercial painting companies. Like how they have to submit their, like, it's in a standardized form. Yeah. And what's his name? Pritt? What's
John
his first
Pritt,
name?
yep.
John Pritt. I'll give you a guess. I don't know how fast he can guess, but see if he can get the correct answer. Does it work? While he's waiting, I will tell you indirectly, anything is possible on computers. Yeah. And literally, like, it just requires, like, we can short answer is we've literally done that for a commercial painting company. But that's just like any PDF, document, email, text message, anything that is sent from your business, all the data that is needed to fill out that form exists in your source of truth. You just need to map which field goes to which thing. Oh, he said no.
John said no.
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. Incorrect. You lose, John. I'm so sorry.
No, that's
you would you'd have that data feed to a PDF, the AIA PDF, and select which field you want in there. And yep.
Well, I just know John, and I know that he is one of the most rigorous commercial and industrial professionals in our industry, like depth of knowledge, wisdom, steadiness. And my impression of his life is it's riddled with a whole bunch of very formal paperwork. So I think this would be a boon.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of questions about costs, and I love talking about costs. The answer is yes. We don't have because we don't build software. Um, it's not like, oh yeah, it's just $4.99 a month and no contracts or whatever. It's like literally custom consulting and looking at all the tech that you have, tying it all together. We've now worked with 16 painting companies. We only work with painting companies, and every one has been slightly different. But we're starting to see like a thread of like 70 to 80% of processes that are like, okay, we can kind of all agree that this is a pretty solid thing that happens every time. So we have like probably 10 automations, maybe 12 that are like absolute game-changing automations that will save tremendous amounts of time for any business. And then there's always maybe like 8 to 10 other ones that companies want on top of it. But that's just like
AIA invoicing.
yeah, exactly. Like residential companies don't care about that, but our commercial client definitely did. So the cost is like it is a large investment. I will say that. We are clients that work with us, and this is a quote from one of them, said that we were about 2 to 3 times what he thought we would cost, but it was worth every single penny, and he wishes he would have done it earlier. And the reason why I feel like it's a range. So like sometimes I will say the low end is like I don't know if we've done a project for under $30,000 or $40,000, but I would say the cost of working with us is of like we shoot to have an ROI. Like you make the money back that it costs to work with us within 6 months of working with us, which sounds insane, but it's true. Like it is absolutely, when you look at how much time and money and energy is wasted inside your business doing all the different stuff that we just showed. And then the part that people don't understand is how much more productive and how much more effective your staff gets when they actually have a dashboard. It's like, how much more effective is a pilot because they have all of the levers and dials and like numbers in front of them when they're flying a plane, versus if you had to have them constantly like scratching out the math on a piece of paper to see if they have enough fuel to change course and get to the destination. There's a reason that dashboards are in your car and in planes and in things that move, and your business should have dashboards that your people are using.
So 2 last questions, Brady Bunch style, one for Chris, one for Nathan down here. So Chris, you first. What would be the argument for this and not all of the stock software out there that we can get and not custom software? Why that middle option?
So I would say I recommend individual niche software for most things in the business.
Yep.
What we're doing is integrating it.
Yeah.
So we're really good at integrating everything together. However, small companies, like if you're listening to this and you're between like 0 and 750,000, I would say, first of all, if you don't need software to get to $750,000. You can literally have QuickBooks and be just fine. Like the hardest part of getting to 750 is hiring people, delegating. Like that software is not going to save you.
Your systems aren't holding you back at 750 or less.
No,
it's the human stuff.
Yeah. But when you get to a larger, and we're putting out some content on this, the larger companies, as you get bigger and bigger, there's a shift, and it's going to vary from one company to the next depending on the preferences of the owner. But as you grow, I like to use the analogy of a car. Like if you bought a Lamborghini and there was nobody to drive it and it just sat in your driveway and rusted, that would be a waste of an investment. Mm-hmm. But if you had a race car driver on staff and was going to enter races and you bought a Lamborghini, you actually are going to win races, and there's no chance you would have in your minivan, right? Like you have to understand that as you grow and scale, you're going to bring on specialists that want specialized tools for marketing, for sales, for managing, for scheduling. And so as you grow, you're going to start adding in these niche tools to complement each other. But the key, like Nathan said at the beginning, the average painting company uses somewhere between 7 and 12 apps. The goal is not to get to fewer number of apps. The goal is to get to fully integrated system that's all talking to each other with your data clean, because AI is coming to shake up everything and add in, like, you're going to be able to plug AI into our Airtable database of all the information and just ask it questions. And it'll tell you answers about the business because the data is clean. The biggest threat I feel like for painting companies that don't have good, clean data is they like technology can't help you even if you wanted it to, because the data is all over the place. You know, if you can consolidate it into a source of truth and clean it up, now all these new apps and technology that's coming out, you'll actually be able to leverage and see a really like rocket boosters strapped onto your business.
Nathan, last question for you. Now, we talk a lot about the nerdy stuff, the spreadsheets, the Airtables, the apps, integration, but you guys create this Lamborghini and you hand it over to somebody else. It's not a guaranteed win. There's a human side to this. Nathan, you work with a lot of painting companies too. You ran a big painting company. What are the human things that need to be in place in order to make what you guys create actually work? What is the mindset? What is the managerial style? What is the human stuff that surrounds us that supercharges it?
Such a good question. Because software, no matter what the size, is not going to make a business successful. It's just not, right? And so, I mean, in my experience, I would say having a vision, knowing where you're going, and why you're going there. And those are simple words. Knowing where you're going and why you're going there. But like,
very difficult to actually do, though.
but like when you answer that question, your soul should start to burn a little bit, like, because you've spent so much time casting this vivid vision and understanding where you're going, and you've got this whole team behind you, and you should feel this weight of like, okay, as the leader of this company, like, I've casted this vision and I've gathered this troop, and like, we're doing it, right? And if you don't have that feeling, that idea, why you're going, where you're going, and where you're going, it's such a big deal. It's such a big deal. And then when you have that, then it's the right people on the right seats. And I would say, as you grow, as you go from 1 to 2, you need a certain type of person. When you're 2 to 4, you need a certain type of person. When you're 4 to 10, like, you're really delegating at that point. Like, I think the hardest thing for me was to truly like let go and say, you need to run my residential division. And you're not going to do it like with me micromanaging you or me looking over your shoulder or whatever. Like, you need to hire the person who's like, get out of here. This is mine. You gave it to me. And they're going to do things their own. I mean, they're going to do things their own way. They're going to be in line with your vision and your values, but they're going to have their way of doing it. And the A players that you need on your team won't have it any other way.
Yeah. Yep.
They won't have it any other way. And the people that got you from 2 to 4, it might not be that. It might not be that person. It might be that person, but it might not. And you might need to make some really hard decisions along the way through with your personnel and things like that. So,
well, it's a very unique thing, because that's a thing you hear all the time. The people who got you there may not be the ones to take you any farther or get you to where you want to go. And I think what a lot of times people do is overlay the value judgment of, well, they're stupid or lazy or they're incompetent or we've maxed them out capacity. And that's not necessarily the case. There is, if you think about a firefighter or a cowboy versus a steady, regular manager, you know what I mean? Like, there's a time where you take a short sleeve button-up shirt, necktie, office hours, one-on-one, lots of big reports, data analysts, and you put them in a company less than 500,000 people. All that is firefighting. All it is just like, we're just finding people, we're finding jobs, we're doing things, I'm doing everything. That person crumbles. But you put them in a business over 3-4 million, that's exactly what that company needs. They need that steady hand. You can't run a firefighting operation at $8 million, right? And
No.
you could almost make the argument up to 1.5 or 2. All it is a cowboy and firefighting organization. Like all you're doing is just like, I'm putting it here. I can't afford a full team. So I'm doing this and I'm stopping this and I'm doing. And so again, like it makes a great argument for get rid of all these mundane tasks, like putting a client's name in 27 times, because at certain points in your business, I would say all points in your business, you're either going to have to do multiple tasks because you can't afford a team, or when you can afford a team, you need to spend your time managing, inspiring, coaching, mentoring that team and not doing those tasks, because those A players, like you mentioned, would not only not be there. If you happen to have an A player, they're gone because that's not the organization they want to be in. And then it makes all this beautiful stuff we create not usable.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And I think, again, it all goes back to people and processes, even at 4 to 10 million or whatever. I just think the technology is the tool that when you get the right person and the right processes, and then you give them good tools, like game changer. That's where you as an owner get what you want. You get go to 20. Sure. Go to 50. Fine. Go to Tahiti. Fine. Like, what do you want? Like,
what a gift if you were to walk in and say, hey, in 2025, project manager, I found a way for you guys to only work 37 hours a week and you're still going to get paid the same or more. And you're just going to have less work and less stress. Like what boss does that? That's insane.
Yeah. And you're going to get, and the business is going to grow.
And the business is going to grow too. So, all right, guys, if people are interested in any of this, how do they get a hold of you? What should they do?
Yeah, I just posted in Facebook and Instagram for those watching Nathan's calendar. He does all of our discoveries. That's so like if you want to chat like now and you're curious, we don't charge for the discoveries. So if you are interested and want to chat, there's nothing more enjoyable than just like helping people understand what's possible, even if we're not the right fit. Generally, companies under $2 million, we suggest more DIY routes, just because it doesn't really make sense yet. But we talk to those people all the time, and we've got a nice little package of stuff that we can just give you and send you on your way. And so that's the other thing when people talk about cost, like there's so much opportunity out there that I started a YouTube channel about 9 months ago, and it now has 3,400 subscribers. And it's the nerdiest, most ridiculous specific channel it like has automation content for painting companies. And there's 3,000 people that care about that. And it blows my mind. But like, what I literally do on that channel is just say all the stuff that we're learning. And here, like I posted a video on connecting some DNS records for some website thing that was going to empower more landing pages and automating their lead intake process. And it's like, here's how to do it. Like this is literally a tutorial of us doing it. And I try to, like, if there's any questions that people have that didn't get answered and you want tutorials on that, that's an avenue for the people that are wanting to kind of like check it out before we dive in. But for those of you that are bigger and are like, I just know that there's some opportunity that I'm not taking advantage of when it comes to technology, I would say, it will be worth an hour of your time to see what's possible. And then we'll either give you some great tips and direction or give you a proposal on what it looks like to work with us.
Yeah. And if you're in that 2 to 4 million or plus range, like that's where we're building the custom systems and they're total game changers. They'll transform your business. If you are under that, if you're under 2 million, we've been talking about like, what's something that would help painting companies get to that point where they're ready for the nail gun. Right. And so if that's interesting to you, if you would like to hear more or something along those lines, let us know and let us know what your pain points are, because that will help inform some of the solutions that we'll be able to make and come out with. So if you're interested in being like in a beta group or something like that for a tool for under $2 million painting companies, also just like shoot over your email or sign up for a meeting with me or whatever.
Oh, awesome, guys. And I will tell you this, even from getting to know you guys, I think we probably met at one of the expos first, having known each other online and things like that. But one of the best things that you guys helped initially as a business owner who loves this stuff is to take that world and you guys showed a third option, not just like coding and spreadsheets and all this other stuff and not custom software and other things. And you kind of showed this middle ground where you can have a little more infinitely customizable sort of stuff with a user interface, but also, you know, you can make it do what you want. You don't just have to subscribe to, this is my new software. I have to bend my business to its will. So if that comes out of the conversation alone, that's inspirational to those up and coming business owners to know that, hey, now in my toolbox, I have options to solve all these things. So I just want to thank you guys for that. That's a great offering to this entire industry, just boiling the whole world down in from all the options into that. So I want to thank you guys for taking family time to do this too. In the summer, I try to preserve the weekends for the family, so we do them in the evenings. And I really want to appreciate what you guys are doing for the industry. And I really do appreciate big thinkers like you guys. So we got your contact information in here. I got your guys' website up there, and there's links there to do some discovery with you guys. From everybody here at Ask a Painter, just want to thank you guys for being here. And I'm sure we'll see you at an industry event.
And Nick, last thing, if the people want it, one of the things that Nathan and I were talking about would be like, should we build, like, to what extent should we do live building of this jump sheet that you talked about, and be like, hey, check this out, guys, and we're going to walk through making Nick Slavic awesome. So if there's like, I don't know how many people we would need to say let's do it, but if there's a substantial mass of people that want to see that, I would be down to do that. But I'm not going to do it sorry if there's one person. I have a bunch of other content that you should check out, but if there's interest there, we'd be happy to do that.
Well, I can marshal the army. If you give me a time and a place, we'll link them there, because seeing some real world stuff, especially from my business. I mean, honestly, I'm looking at all the people commenting here. 70% of the people use that form in their business or have used it some way in their form there. So yeah, it's something that would help more than just us. And if you guys want to do it, it would be awesome. I would just love it. So guys, we're appreciative of you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Nick.
And fun, Nick. Thanks for having us on.